Hi, my name is Sebastian, the owner of Lava Salt, and today I'm actually going to do something really funky, really cool, really exciting. I've always had friends of mine who've asked me, Sebastian, why don't you make something that is gluten-free? And I've always loved buckwheat. So what is buckwheat? It's actually very close to the rhubarb and the sorrel family. It is gluten-free, and therefore it is great for people who really want to enjoy figs, which are really ideal this time of the year in Melbourne. And we've got a beautiful fig tree just behind me, and it's just perfect to be able to actually work on these figs. So these figs are pretty much beautiful this time of the year, and I've actually picked them just off the tree, and they're just perfect for this recipe. Roast off these figs, and I'm going to show you how to roast them. Very easy, very simple. And then we're going to make the batter. So I've got roughly about 2/3 of a cup of buckwheat flour. I've got about close to 1 cup of milk. The milk's in there. I'll show you it is. And I've actually got 3 good free-range eggs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some of that beautiful smoked vanilla salt, which is just perfect for this recipe. Just a little pinch, which is ideal. And I love this smoked vanilla salt that I make. It's Madagascan vanilla, which is fantastic, and it's just great for this recipe. To which I'm going to actually add 3 eggs. So I'm just going to break 3 of these beautiful happy eggs, as I call them, or free range, as you are maybe familiar with. Just break them. 3 beautiful eggs, and all I do is just lightly beat them. Don't beat them too much. You really don't need to overwork the eggs. I've actually mixed the eggs perfect to actually add to your flour. I'm going to add that 1 cup of milk, which is just perfect. Mix that as one big mix. And what you do is you add that to your batter little by little. So I'm just going to add half of that right now, and just give it a good whisk. Go. Just whisk that to make sure that you've got the right texture. Beautiful. So I'm actually happy with that. It's a perfect looking, it's got this nice texture to it as well. To this, I'm going to add melted butter. So I'm just going to fire up this pan. And I've got roughly about 30 to 45 grams of butter that you can actually just melt and add that to your crepe batter, and that way it's just going to give it a beautiful silky caramelly texture once you've got that nutty brown butter that's actually added to your crepe. There you go. So that's your one little stub of butter that goes in. Just let it melt, let it get nice and nutty, and I'm going to add that to the mix. How foamy and nutty that looks now, I'm just going to swirl it a couple of times, and then just going to add that to the batter, just to the center, just like that. And sure, you can just hear that sizzle, that hot butter hitting that pan, which is just perfect. Whisk that in, and I would just let that rest for about close to 20 minutes, and that'll be just perfect. Okay, so now for these figs. I've got some beautiful, luscious figs, like I mentioned before, from my plant just behind me. And all I'm going to do is just cut them into half, and look at that color. Oh my gosh, that is just divine. I mean, to get figs that fresh, organically grown in my backyard is the perfect way to celebrate this fruit. So I'm just going to pick the most ripe figs that I can. You don't want to get it too mushy, because you just want a little bit of texture in the actual recipe. So I'm actually going to go with, say, about close to 5 figs, and I've got 10 halves, and they work pretty well. And I'm just going to roast them in this pan very lightly. So remember, I've got use the same pan, the same nutty butter, and we're just going to add just a little bit of that, just a touch of your unsalted butter for this recipe. And what I do is I just let that butter melt just when it's starting to foam, and I'm going to add the flesh side down, and I'm just going to, not even 10 seconds, I'm just going to flash roast it and then take it off the heat. And I'm going to deglaze that off with a little bit of port wine, and that's just going to make it amazing. So you can see that beautiful foamy nutty butter that's in the pan, and that's the perfect temperature you want that butter to be. Very quickly, you're going to work fast because you don't want to overcook the figs. Beautiful, look at that. I'm going to add just one more, so you've actually got 10 halves. And just keep stirring the pan. And now, all you've got to do is just add a bit of that port wine. Oh, look at that, beautiful. And you can straight away see how beautiful that looks. That looks just so good. Just look at that. Roasty, buttery. It's got that boozy port wine that's actually just given this fig a kick. Really, it just looks so delicious. You can see if I just lightly squeeze or press the figs, they still have a texture. They're not too gooey or too soft, and that's why you've got to just very, very lightly roast it off the heat and let it rest, ready for your next section. I've got some pistachios that I've actually just lightly ground, which are great for crunch, and I think a bit of nuts is great if you're actually got an allergy to nuts. An allergy to nuts is just omit that recipe, omit that ingredient, and you should be good. Prosciutto is, to me, the perfect combo that goes with figs. Now, when I was growing up as a chef, one of my perfect dishes I had with a glass of port was prosciutto, a bit of figs, and if possible a bit of mascarpone cheese. Oh, that is just divine. So for this crepe, I'm just gonna kind of give you a beautiful savory version, which is adding a bit of figs, and I've got some mascarpone cheese, and I've got the prosciutto as well. So here I've got some beautiful mascarpone cheese, that perfect cream cheese that goes with it. It's an Italian cream cheese, and it's perfect to go with this recipe, to which I'm actually going to add just the zest of one lemon, just very lightly, to which I'm going to add some date syrup. And I've got roughly just about a teaspoon. I don't need too much, just a touch, just a drop in there. I'm just going to mix that in so it's nice and smooth. Look at that. So I'm just going to put that into a nice piping bag. So just turn that in. You don't need too much, so I'm just going to add maybe a couple of spoons in there. Just need about close to 2 dollops worth. So I've just got that in this beautiful piping bag and ready to go. Okay, so I'm ready to make my crepe. Get the pan on, fill some heat, just a smidge of butter. You don't want to add too much to it. And now you see those little fizzling bubbles that come on the actual pan. Just roughly about close to a ladle. That's about close to 60 mils. Right in the center. And now start to swirl. Start with this side, all the way around. And as you follow it with the pan, work fast so that the batter doesn't actually start to cook. And if you've never turned a crepe before, I advise you to have a large white spatula, or you can try, don't burn your hands, you can just use your edges of your hands and just flip it. Look how easy that is. Just turn your crepe and look at that color. That's just beautiful. That's what you really want. Okay. So to assemble, we've got one crepe. Take your beautifully roasted figs and just place them just randomly anywhere in the actual plate, just like that. You want to make sure it's placed on the second half of the actual crepe. And once you've done that, you just want to add just a little bit of that date syrup that you've had before. Just drizzle that. Oh, look at that, that just looks so good already. To which we're going to add a little bit of that mascarpone cheese. So just place that maybe there, there, on there. Just bit on the figs as well. Just love that. Oh, it looks so good already. And finally, a bit of that pistachios that you've actually had before, and this gorgeous prosciutto. And just layer them just anywhere in the actual crepe, just like that. That looks so good. A couple of bits of mint, just to finish it off. There you have it. That is one decadent crepe. So, here's my buckwheat crepes with prosciutto, lemon cream, and roasted beef.